Alright, do a quick video again. So you can tell by the case, this is the Legion. So you buy the gun, it comes in a plastic case, then you go online, you fill out all your information, put your serial number in, and then they send you this case and some stuff. So the case is actually pretty sweet. Comes with protective foam. I mean, this stuff's pretty thick. Bunch of extra space. This is the SAO model. Comes with the Legion coin. But it's a pretty rugged case, and it's like the sunglass cases. When I got this one, they weren't that available, so the only one that we could order was the 10-round magazine one. So that's why you see what you see. These are the 10-round, comes with 3 magazines in the original case. It's kind of nice having the extra case because now I have somewhere it's a little bit more durable to put my West German 220 in. Not a SIG hater by any means. I just prefer something with a slide. It's a little closer to your hand. Anyway, these are Metgar magazines. I kind of prefer these over the SIGs just because if you get the regular SIG magazine, you only have like 15 plus 1, 16. And these Metgars with this itty bitty little base plate, you get 18. So, and you don't need to get the 20 rounder that sticks way out. So that's kind of nice. Plus the Metgar mags are cheaper, and SIG used to use Metgar mags. Let's see. Alright, so I was holding off on this one for a while just because I wanted to get a bunch of rounds through it and see what I think about it. Well, let's see. Take the grips off. This looks pretty much the same. This is brass, and they basically silver soldered a little line inside of it to hold it in place. They do rattle just ever so slightly. Single action only, so hammer back, safety up, draw your weapon. As soon as you clear your body, safety down, and then present, pull. So either way, like I mentioned before, I trimmed down this side of the safety lever so it would fit in a box for competition, and then I just put some super glue, perma glue on it to blend it in. That way it kind of sticks out, kind of like a 1911 safety. Checkering on this thing, it's pretty much everywhere. The gun is not loaded, obviously. I'll be pointing it at myself. I'm sure I'll get some comments for that. Trying to show this checkering. I'm going to go straight up. So the checkering on this one, if it'll show, isn't exactly perfect. It's shorter on the left side and longer on the right. It's kind of weird. This one, not so much. But you can tell it's, machined because obviously it comes way over. They just kind of run the checkering lines and then it goes over. No one's sitting there hand checkering on this. Not a big deal. This is that PVD finish. It's supposed to be durable. I thought it was kind of, when I first read about it, it was more like a nickel boron style where you treat it, treat the coating, which it could be. I already got some of it to come off right there, and that was just from, I have no clue, holstering, I think, in and out. It shoots awesome. It really does. Let's see if I can pick up that front sight. Not so much. Anyway, so it's that X-ray sight. You can purchase these now on directly from SIG, so you can get these. They also offer the U-notch rear sight, which I kind of wish they just put on here to begin with. Some people like them, some people don't. But for FAC acquisition, the U-notch is normally faster. These are night sights. They're pretty bright. They blacked out the rear, which I like, so I'm not looking for 3 dots. Let's see. Showed you the trigger before. Safety down, pull the trigger. It's pretty light. Let's rack it off something. So show. Man, this Texas sun is crazy. It's already like 100 degrees out. That's what it feels like. Click, bang. So super awesome reset. They do this undercut right here, get your hand higher, but then they didn't do the beaver tail cut like they do on their X series, which means that they bring this up a little higher, so even though you got the undercut, the rear of your hand isn't going up that high, which is okay, I guess, because then you're really forcing your hand into the beaver tail, which mitigates, the muzzle flip and stuff. It's not there just to protect your hand from the slide bite and stuff. It actually helps drive the recoil down, which is why most people shoot the 1911 pretty well, CZs, etc. Anything that has a beaver tail on it typically forces your hand, and now you have all this leverage right here to help mitigate the recoil. So if you get it real high in your hand like you're supposed to in your webbing, when it kicks up, it's pushing right up against your hand, which isn't really going anywhere. So if you got a firm grip on it, and I just say firm, you're not squeezing it so hard you're shaking, but if you hold it tight enough, I mean, it's like, it mitigates the recoil enough where it's controllable. I know it's 9mm, so it's controllable anyway, but depends on how strong you are, etc. We can. Either way, this isn't a safe queen or anything. It's priced like a safe queen, but yeah, no, I just shoot it. I got several different holsters for it, with light, without. I mean, it shoots great. I don't really have any issues with. I haven't really had any issues with it as far as functionality of how it shoots and everything else. I did have the issue. I mean, like I made the video. I don't think it's normal on an SAO to not be able to pull the trigger and drop the safety. I know that's not the battery of arms, and that's what the video was stating. But if you pull a gun and you're wrestling at the same time and you're trying to get that gut shot off, it might be harder to actuate the safety. So you might have your finger holding on because they're trying to pull the gun away from you. You should be able to pull, sweep, and shoot, but real life doesn't always work out that way. So you should be able to apply pressure here and drop the safety once it's completely cleared. I do understand that, but at any point in time when you're actually fighting with a gun and someone grabs a hold of it and your finger is in this area up here resting like you're supposed to do, you have less control than you would hooking your finger and pulling the gun away. So again, you guys can say whatever, but I fixed that problem. Like I said, the trigger bar has the safety come down, and then it sits flush against there, and all you do is make it a little slightly angular, and then it obviously works. Safety's on, hammer back, and you can pull it all you want, and it's not going to go bang. So, but I fixed that problem. Regardless, I do think this, with all the bells and whistles this comes with, I still think it's slightly overpriced. Just because you can get pretty much any stock SIG and send it back to SIG to get an action job done, and it will actually be better than this one. This is mass produced. You're not getting custom quality, all that stuff. So it has the normal features. It has a few extra features. SIGs are expensive to begin with as a stock model. A lot of guns are, they're slowly increasing in price. You used to be able to buy a SIG for like almost nothing, but it's not the 90s anymore. It's not 2000, beginning of 2000. So with all the sales and the amount of guns that are out now, everybody's just climbing in prices. Hence why a $300 cheap Wasser AK now costs $700-800. Supply and demand, and if you're going to pay for it, just like oil, people aren't going to stop buying the gas because the gas price is too high. So if you pay for it, it's going to stay at that level. Let's see. This gray trigger is pretty sweet. They do awesome triggers. You can purchase just this trigger if you want to drop it in one of your SAOs. The magazine release is pretty flush. They have like a slight bevel here, but not really. So you really have to reach, forget it. If you have smaller hands, it's going to be hard to actuate without breaking your grip. Standard takedown procedure, etc. This trigger, like I said, is just awesome for single action. You have a little bit of take up and then it breaks. But reset, you just move and rock and back and forth just barely. What else? That's about it. It's just a SIG in a fancy case and fancy paint job. It's nice to have the checkering. These grips are pretty sweet. I wish they had made these thinner, just because I like smaller grips, because then you can really, manhandle the guns. The tack ops is a little bit better. Another thing to note, if you can see it, since this is the SAO frame, this should take the X5 magazine well, which would be nice. This is just normal flare. It's not flared in the front, so you can kind of see where you slam the magazine in. But they will have the X5, and I'm not sure if they're doing a Legion one, but if you get a X5 or X6 or any of those X series mag wells, it should fit right in here, hence the holes for it. Let's see, shot this at competition. It's okay. It's right up there with the 1911 sport guns, where you're racing your race guns. But it shoots like a SIG. It has a higher bore axis. It kicks up a little higher. It doesn't shoot like a sewing needle like a CZ and stuff, where it just literally throws, when the slide goes forward, you're right back on target because it's the mass of the slide. So it doesn't have that, but it kicks like a SIG, just because your bore axis is pretty high, and then you have a big beefy slide up here, so everything kind of pivots. It'll always pivot. That's why the beaver tail is kind of important. I'm sure it works fine all the time because it's a SIG, but everything has reliability issues because it's mechanical. See if there's anything else. It's cool color, cool features. Trigger is pretty awesome. I think that pretty much covers everything. If you're on the fence about buying this one, I have turned CZs, or customized my CZs with single action to get an even better trigger than this one. But like I said, I'm tempted just to send this particular model off to get the action job, but with the single action, I don't think they do that. I can't remember. I have to look at the SIG data, because there's a price sheet where you can send stuff off to get worked on, and I want to say that their single action onlys is one that you can't do. And if that's the case, oh well. But as far as like 226, 229, 228, any of them, you can pretty much send them off to SIG and get them redone. If you happen to get an old West German SIG, you can send it off, because I used to love the old West Germans, triggers and everything, but they are kind of antiquated. You have to really protect the slide and all kinds of stuff, but the triggers are just okay on them. They're better than the stock, the newer versions, but they are still intense. They're still a huge, 20-pound trigger pull, etc. But you can send them off, get an action job, put a bunch of, you know, you can even send them Legion parts or ask for Legion parts to be put in, but you can buy most of the parts from the Legion and then have them put it in a West German SIG and have a pretty cool, awesome, super reliable gun. Just trying to think if there's anything else. Not really. I don't really have too much to say. It shoots, it goes bang, it does punch one hole groups. I mean, it works like a SIG. It's really not much to say. Is it worth the price tag? It's just a cool factor. It really is. It's just, hey, I got a Legion. Hey man, that's awesome. But there's so many different versions. This is just their newest, latest, you know, model for people to buy. I don't really see it being a huge deal. Most 226s come with checkering. It just doesn't have checkering underneath the trigger guard and in the front all the time. The grips are kind of cool, which you can buy, you know, G10 grips all day. The color's cool. The coating's okay. Like I said, it's better than Cerakote, that's for sure. I don't really like Cerakote too much just because it's not as durable as everybody makes it out to be. It'll scratch. It'll, like, they did remember their Scorpion models. Now everything's anodized. I was at like Academy and they had a Scorpion sitting there, and all the Cerakote in the front was wore off just from people handling the gun and putting it back on the glass display. So like all of it was here. I knew a guy that carried the Scorpion 226, and the wear from the holster just took it right off. So I have a Cerakoted AR, you know, short barrel rifle that I'll probably do a video on, and that had Cerakote, and it has spots where it's starting to wear off because, you know, if you use it at all, it will eventually come off. So hence why, like, CZ stayed with their polycoat. Most guns are getting away from the Cerakote. Shoot, I mean, if you don't really care too much, you can just take your Alumahide from Brownells and spray it down, and if you mar your finish, it's simple spray again. Psst, done. So hence why people, you know, just use Krylon, etc. You spend all this money on a Cerakote job for a gun that, you know, you're probably going to use. I mean, if it's sitting in a safe or it's a display thing, that's one thing. But if you're planning on using your gun for anything, there's a reason why you do the easier Krylon or Blue It or anything else like that. This PVD finish is, you know, strong. It's not as good as like a nickel boron or an MP3, but it definitely is function. The only wear it really has is from holstering and stuff, which, you know, should be normal. Anyway, I'm trying to think. The barrel's nice. The coating on the barrel is nice. It's, you know, practically like Tennifer. There's no real wear on the barrel as far as, you know, this from the slide, you know, going forward and locking up in the Browning action. Wait for him to pass. Alright, now the ambulance is gone. Like I said, that's pretty much it. Mech-R mags are pretty cheap. I want to say these are $25 to $30 versus your $40 to $60 SIG magazines. They hold more unless you're buying the extended base plate, which, I don't know. It's already taking a full-size gun and then you're adding more to it. This is an older design. It still functions just like CZs, and I love CZs. For carry, it's a 226, man. You know, unless you're open carry and the, you know, that kind of thing, it's not really worth it. Plus, I don't think, you know, having a safety on your gun is the best idea for quick stuff. Hence why every police department got away from it. Because if you're thinking on the go and you happen to roll up in a situation like that, that's just one more thing to stop you and get you killed. You guys can say all you want, but hence why people just like Glock, just like M&P, PPQ, striker-fired guns, to keep your finger off the trigger. The advantage of safeties and decockers is you can use a heavier trigger pull weight, or a lighter trigger pull weight. So this is a single action only. You can get it down to shoot a 2-pound trigger safely with the safety. So as long as you're using the safety, if you drop the gun, you should be fine. On a light trigger, it can go bang. And they say, well, what about the firing pin block, etc.? If there's enough inertia from that trigger to go backwards, it just pulled the trigger, so it defeated the purpose of the safe action trigger. That's why Glock put the little dingus thingy in the middle, which can still go off. Each gun has its own advantage. The single action only 1911 platform is great. It's been around, for 100 years, but I mean, we're past that now. I have 1911s. I love to shoot them. They're a great gun. It's just that you really have to monitor everything and really keep up on wear and tear of the gun. Unlike your loose tolerance Glocks, striker fire, polymer guns. I love the double action, single action, just because you can make it so it's a 4 to 5 pound double action to a 2 pound single action. So your first pull is sometimes even lighter than a Glock or a striker fired gun that hasn't been modified. So you'll still get that initial pull, and if you're pulling it more than once, then everything after that is super light. Competition wise, this is a great gun. It would be perfect, and I have used it, and it works great. Let's see. We can talk philosophy about, all different types of guns and stuff all the time, but it's really up to you what's good for you. I like to flip-flop between, but as far as carry, I like to be able to just pull the gun, pull the trigger. You can train and train and train, and you'll be proficient, very proficient with that single action only. They used to do it for years. You have, you like your Beretta M9, if you grab the slide wrong, you can activate the decocker or safety. So the decocker safety mix, I'm not a big fan at all, and that's why a lot of people go to the decocker onlys on those. It's very intuitive to draw your pistol and use your thumb to turn the safety off. But it's one more thing to think of. And until you stress yourself out enough to try that, you can talk all you want. But there's a reason why they get away from the safeties. I'm trying to think anything else. I mean, if someone put a safety on a Glock, you'd be like, they're retarded, right? Hence, this isn't a Glock. It's an older design. But this SAO trigger is pretty awesome. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, obviously. Just don't think it's a smart idea putting a safety on a gun unless it's single action only. If you want to train that way, there's perfectly fine. It's been done forever. The Marine Corps still uses it. So there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, with the latest technology and what's out there and everything else, 1/2 a second, anything like that, it's one less thing to worry about. If you're super sweaty, might just slide off that safety. Might not engage the safety if you're in a close quarters fight and you're doing your last ditch effort to draw your weapon and turn the safety off and pull the trigger without shooting yourself or them getting control of your firearm. Shouldn't be in that situation to begin with, situational awareness and all, but if is a big question. So anyway, again, great gun. Is it worth the money? It's pretty good. I bought it, so I mean, it's not completely horrible, but yeah, I do think it's a little expensive. I mean, that's a nice, AR-15 right there, decked out, ready to go, and probably the red dot. It's not saying $3,000 or anything, but it's pretty expensive for what you get. I get a nice case with it. I get a coin with it. I get 3 10-round magazines, which would have been 16-round magazines, but like I said, you can buy these. They work fine. Yeah, I mean, you're really just buying the name. I mean, that Legion's kind of like a M series BMW or something. But other than that, I mean, it goes bang every time. It works fine. It's pretty awesome. I like everything about it, so it's a good gun. Maybe I'll get a 229, but we'll see. Either way, not much else I got to say about, Legion, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the video. See ya.